You are listening to the Free Spirit Astrology Podcast. Happy New Week, family. Welcome back to the Free Spirit Astrology Podcast. I'm your host, Brandy Williams, and we are officially in Gemini season. So the air is changed and charged up. Cosmic weather is moving, bringing us into a week of finding light in the dark with this Gemini full moon that is happening today. So over the past weekend, Saturn ingressed into Aries this past Saturday, and that brought us into some very different energy. This is a very different Saturn. So, over the past 3 years, Saturn was in the sign of Pisces and acting as our gentle mentor or guide, or Mr. Miyagi, and may have conducted several interventions throughout our lives requiring our spiritual sobriety and personal accountability for our actions and choices, to build a relationship with our intuition, and to get incredibly honest about what we were attached to and what we could not bring with us into this next cycle. Well, we are out of rehab, and I don't know about y'all, but I like to think of this Saturn as my grandmother. So I feel like I'm at my grandmother's house out of rehab right now. And for you, maybe this is like a military school or some place that has a formal structure to it, because this is Aries. It is warrior energy ruled by the god of war, Mars. So you are not at a spa or a silent retreat. This is a very hard energy that is requiring some type of structure in life. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead with my imagination and let y'all know that I am at Big Mama's house. And it's Saturday morning, and Big Mama Saturn has bust through the door like an old-fashioned black grandmother. She's pulled the curtains back. She's got Anita Baker Sweet Love playing in the background. And Big Mama says, "Get up. It is time to get on up. And it's time to clean up." And Big Mama Saturn has rules. This is where we will be required to sort something out that we need to commit to. We will need to take out the trash mindsets, half-cocked plans, shortcuts, and rushing ahead, polish up on those old skills, open up some new skills, and unfold that delayed gratification to create long-term success. And if you try to rush through it or skip any of these steps, Big Mama says you're going to have to do it over again. So Saturn in Aries is communicating with us in a different tone, in a different way. And what Saturn is saying is that it's time to stop talking about something and start being about something. It's time to start walking like you're talking. And this is a brand new start. She is inviting us to stop sulking over the past and ruminating about something, about what we thought life was supposed to be, and step into a new destined path of what life is going to be. And that is going to set up the rest of the week for us and really the rest of the year, because this unfolding is going to have many phases and drop many breadcrumbs that we don't really know about yet. But we're going to be walking into some life-changing breakthroughs and big deals and connections and big conversations and fresh new ideas and divine opportunities. So, I mean, it's looking like a good deal for me. But let's get into the astrology of the week. Sunday, May 26th, Mercury enters the sign of Gemini, and this is the natural home of Mercury in Gemini. So that means that Mercury gets to be himself. He doesn't have to merge into any other types of energies. So he's super comfortable here. He's in his element. He's playful. He's curious. He's open. He's decisive. He's asking all the questions, very eager to learn and ready to connect with peers and people who share common interests. So when Mercury is in his home sign of Gemini, the energy is very fast. There's a lot of mental energy swirling around, a lot of thoughts. We could have a lot of energy, and we could feel possibly mentally overwhelmed or overstimulated. And we could also feel restless or be dealing with insomnia when Mercury's in Gemini. And if that's the case for you, you just want to remember to ground the body, ground the mind, come into stillness, come up for breaks. Also, this is a good idea to work with water in some kind of way, because we have all this fire and air energy going on. And we're going to have a big water move in June, but it's definitely a good idea to come into some water work in whatever way feels good for you. That could be running water over the wrists, getting into a bath, taking a shower, praying and meditating with water, just taking several breaks to ground into some stable energy. So today, Monday afternoon, May 26th, we have Mercury in Gemini coming into a 60-degree conversation known as a sextile with Neptune in Aries and Saturn. So they're both at the very beginning of Aries. And Mercury sextiling Saturn is bringing us into some type of plan. And so this plan is going to require a slower pace. It is going to require us to perhaps take a few steps back, to become a student again, to gain more information, to learn something new. And this actually has a somewhat grounding effect on that big, wild, curious Mercury energy. Even though Aries is not grounding in any sorts, it's fast and wild too. It's like combustion happening, but it's Saturn. So no matter where Saturn is, Saturn, right? So Saturn's telling Mercury, sit your ass down somewhere. just hold on, hold your horses. I know you got all ideas, but so Saturn is encouraging us to stay excited and stay curious, but without the forging ahead and rushing into doing something and implementing all the ideas that come to mind. That's what Saturn's role is. Like, yeah, we got ideas. Let's make a note of it, but we're not jumping out the window on any of these ideas just yet. And so we want to expect some type of process that will lead us into a stable framework. And so Neptune in Aries is cluing us into a new dream or a new possibility, seeding that into our lives, of course, in its own dreamy, nonlinear way, because that's how Neptune is. And the path is unfolding when it's supposed to. And so Neptune is giving us a dare to dream, to tap into that what if energy, that childlike curiosity, not in a naive way, but in a way that allows us to be open and to be malleable to change and things that are not going in a straight line. So Neptune is showing Mercury what old beliefs, paradigms, and mindsets need to dissolve if we want to make this new dream come true. Can't bring our old mindsets with that, because a lot of our old mindsets are rooted in fear and scarcity. And I need to take care of this, and what if, and I got to do something that's seemingly safe. And that's not going to work with the new dream. So Mercury is the messenger of the gods and is taking this information to us, relaying it to us in whatever ways we are open to receiving messages. And these two energies are asking us to stay light and stay open and pause when the intuition says so, and have the courage to walk when instructed, to take creative action. So Neptune and Saturn has kind of got that good cop, bad cop thing going on. One is like, dare to dream. These things are coming up in your mind for a reason. And Saturn is like, and when you do dare to dream, you're going to put a plan behind it, because we're not just going to half cock this thing. So I think that's a great duo that's happening for us in Aries right now. And so when we are contending with this, with all of these new energies and these possible new ideas and this unknown, we want to remember to go into our two bags of trust and surrender and release. Those are where the nodes of the moon are. So remember, we are releasing needing to know all the steps and to having control. And we are trusting and surrendering that the path is unfolding as we walk it. So we want to expect things to feel foggy and to be patient as we are walking into these patches of the unknown. So some things are going to feel clear and okay, I see where this is going. And then we might hit another patch and it's like, I don't know. And that's when we're waiting on intuition and the intuitive nudges that are going to flow us right into tonight's Gemini moon. This is happening around 10 p.m. Central. So just for your time, this is a very potent dark moon. It's really lovely. We are seeding a new intention, asking a new question, like what the entire F is happening to me in my life, in my plans. And maybe we already know a little bit of the WTF, or maybe we don't know, or maybe we just know, we know it all, but we don't know how it's going to get there, whatever. We know aspects of it. Depending on where this is happening for you, there's certain breadcrumbs and energetic cues dropping in for us. And Jupiter has been in Gemini for the past year, bringing us a lot of ideas and tapping into new potentials and big conversations and maybe rubbing elbows with different people. So trying a couple of different identities on, or just new things for ourselves on in that Gemini part of life. So this is a really good time during this new moon and all new moons to journal and to reflect on what we've learned in the past year and to reflect on what we want to know for the future. What are we planting? What new thing is popping up for us? What question do we have that we are wanting to answer? So the sun and the moon will be at 6 degrees of Gemini. It's going to conjunct its own ruler, Mercury, who's also in Gemini. They're all in a sextile, which means a 60-degree conversation with Saturn and Neptune, who are in Aries, brand new energy over there, and making a trine to the infamous Pluto in Aquarius, who is tearing down all the things and making new. And not to mention Jupiter, still in Gemini. That's lovely because Jupiter is providing protection and abundance and support. They're all providing support. They're all in harmonious aspects to each other. So there is no haters or nobody's really blocking anything. And so they're all on this cosmic Zoom call. They're planning our new life's direction. They talking about us, y'all. But they talking about us in a great way. I told y'all June was gonna be a good month. So we coming into some new energy. So this is really lovely and supportive. If you work with your chart, you want to look at the whole sign house placement of where you have 6 degrees of Gemini to see what's being activated, whether you have any planets or points at the 0 to 6 degrees of Gemini. Those things are speaking and, collaborating with the full moon. Collaborating with the new moon in Gemini. So you want to pay attention to that. If you don't work with a birth chart, this is still a good time to come into stillness and journal and notice what parts of life feel activated. Where does it seem like there's a change developing in your life? Because there is a change developing in all of our lives. This is an evolution for all of us, collectively and personally. And so notice if you have a desire to learn something new, an inspiration to write, to teach, to communicate new knowledge. So that could look like starting a new podcast or some type of social media segment, and also where you feel inclined to change your mind about something. Also, notice the ways you have been conditioned to abandon that youthful ability to be open to change, to get excited, to play with different ideas, to take on a beginner's mindset, to become a student again, to be completely unattached to an old belief and consider a completely new belief. And if you find resistance in those things, this is probably where the work is taking place. So the universe is essentially asking us to believe in something with no proof. And we have Mercury in Gemini trining Pluto in Aquarius this week. And that is bringing forth these new creative breakthroughs, new ideas, new plans, new strategies, learning new things that could potentially transform our resources, because Pluto does deal with wealth and transformation. And this is also bringing us into a metamorphosis into the realms of higher consciousness. So we could be learning deep spiritual, metaphysical practices or topics. We could be interested in these topics. Mercury in Gemini is the teacher of astrology related to Thoth in Egyptian lore and Hermes Trismegistus. And so you could be interested in or taking a deeper interest in topics like astrology and numerology, human design, um, hypnosis, Reiki, past life regressions. One of these topics could become a part of your life's path. Also, you could see an integration of technology, AI, business, and we could feel called to study something new, a completely new subject that we never thought we would study or we didn't previously expect to study. And all of this is leading to deeper changes that are taking place with this major life shift of that Neptune and Saturn ingress into Aries. On May 30th, Mercury will enter the heart of the sun, conjunct the sun, and this is known as a cazimi. They're going to be at the exact same degree, and this is a beautiful interaction, beautiful for our very strong and dignified Mercury and Gemini, being baptized and purified by the sun, just like Prince in the waters of Lake Minnetonka. Mercury will be extra mentally clear. We can receive very clear downloads or messages. Something all of a sudden makes sense. There could be these new innovative thoughts and ideas that we're wanting to invent or implement into our businesses or other parts of life in some way. And this is also a week where communication could be really productive. We could feel feel more empowered to communicate something or speak on something or speak our minds about something. And Friday could be a really good day to sign a contract or make a business deal or just to clear the air about something with an open mind and no hard feelings. Just be sure that you are rolling with your intuition when you make any of these decisions this week versus trying to go rogue or skip past some steps or jump into something. Always include intuition along the way. And then finally, this Saturday, we will have a conjunction between Venus in Aries and Chiron, who is also in Aries. And so I feel like this is coming up as some type of trigger, a trigger to a pre existing wound that we already have and that we've had for a long time. This could be a trigger activated by other women or just another woman or a thorn of insecurity just really coming up within us as we are looking at these new changes and getting excited about something. Sometimes a wound to get activated, and this has something to do with our self-worth and what we feel we deserve and what we feel like we are or aren't capable of. But despite it all, I feel like this is going to be us seeing that wound, feeling that wound, sitting with it, loving on it, and then going for something anyways, doing it scared, facing a wound with love, and feeling some type of relief because we did that shit. So I really feel good about this week. Just give yourself some extra love by the weekend because, that Chiron and Venus could have us feeling a little tender. So that's where we are this week. All roads pointing to major life shifts that we have no idea what's going on, or we could have a budding idea of what's going on, but it's all good. We are changing and aligning with divine timing, letting the breadcrumbs guide us, doing our little pause step. So just a quick recap, we are being invited to plant the seed this week. New moons are always about planting seeds, even if you don't know exactly what that seed is, how you're going to water it. Just have the audacity to believe that if you plant this seed, God, the universe, the divine queen, Mother Earth will bring the rain. So that is all I have for this week. I love you all, and I will see you next week. Goodbye for now. You are listening to the Free Spirit Astrology Podcast.